Hello there.
Now at 10 a.m. this morning, we got some pretty critical information about Godzilla x Kong 3 and what the movie will entail in terms of not only the cast, but the tone of the story, as well as what Titans will be featured in the movie. So we are going to break down all the new information in this video. If you guys enjoy my MonsterVerse content, then consider subscribing because this is going to be a big one, and check out my page. I have a bunch more stuff just like this. All that being said, let's get into it.
The Atomic Fair.
Okay, so some stuff that we pretty much know is going to happen with Godzilla x Kong 3 is not only is Godzilla going to get another redesign, which we can already anticipate coming just from the simple fact that Legendary is going to need to market toys. Additionally, we are hearing about the film that is going to be a darker, more emotional story for Godzilla, and I think that would be a great move for the MonsterVerse and is very much needed in order to bring it up to some of the sensibilities of, say, the Heisei era, which is probably the best overall story arc across an entire franchise or series of movies for Godzilla that I have ever seen. The whole sequence in Godzilla vs. Destroyer, where we actually see Godzilla melting down, and the way that that was built up to was almost like an Avengers level, like Endgame level event for me as a kid. And even rewatching the movies as an adult, I just think that those movies hold so much emotional weight, and they are probably the best era of Godzilla movies, with the -1, I guess, residing in the Reiwa era of films potentially catching up to it. We'll see what happens with this series of Godzilla -1 films. And then of course the MonsterVerse is a close second below the Heisei era. But the MonsterVerse has more so been a story arc for Kong across the entire franchise, especially since Godzilla vs. Kong. Not only did Godzilla vs. Kong focus more on Kong, but Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire also focused more on Kong than it did Godzilla. And if anything, Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire dehumanized Godzilla even more by making him not only just like I guess a force of nature, but doing some things that were a little questionable to some of the fans. In fact, that movie is a little divisive, especially if you look in some of the communities over on Reddit. So hearing that Godzilla is going to have a more emotional story arc makes a lot of sense, but over on Deadline, we're actually getting new information about Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, and they have an exclusive article that says that everyone's favorite Titans are getting a new human co-star for their follow-up to Godzilla x Kong. Sources tell Deadline that Caitlin Dever is in negotiations to join the cast in the latest sequel to Legendary's MonsterVerse movie. Grant Sputore steps in as director, following in the footsteps of Adam Wingard, who directed the last two picks from a script by David Callahan. The new movie is described as a continuation of the franchise, centering Godzilla, Kong, and an assortment of other Titans. Insiders say that while Kong and Godzilla will still be fronting the film, Legendary is looking to build on its human characters, and the first logical choice landed on Dever, whose star has been on the rise for some time. She now joins the franchise as it combines character-driven storytelling and its signature epic scale and Titan clashing action in Sputore's vision. Now, Grant Sputore was specifically brung on, in my opinion, to bring a darker, more serious tone closer to the 2014 Gareth Edwards movie. I believe that they moved away from Adam Wingard actually for scheduling reasons, but some of these reports make a lot of sense, especially Kong and Godzilla both being featured in the next film. Kong seems to be the emotional anchor of these films for the Titans, but what's interesting to me is the quote where it mentions various other Titans appearing in the movie. That, for me, is a big one, because it's not only teasing the return of Shimo, who is set to probably appear in this film again, it's also telling me that we could get like a lot of other Titans potentially, including, and not only limited to Godzilla and Kong, but including Godzilla Jr., who I am just set on the fact that Godzilla Jr. is going to appear in this movie after Adam Wingard already teased where he wants to take the story and how Godzilla vs. Destroyer is a big inspiration for him. Now, we know that Adam Wingard wanted to make Godzilla x Kong 3 a more emotional Godzilla-driven film, and that is something that he has been quoted as saying, as well as various reports coming out after Godzilla x Kong came out, that the next film was looking to incorporate Godzilla Jr., incorporate a darker, more emotional story for Godzilla, and put him at the center of the story over Kong. Now, whether or not that remains true in Grant Sputor's version of the film, or whether or not that's actually what Legendary wants, is yet to be seen, but it really would not surprise me at all to see the Monsterverse move forward again with the idea of Kong being the center of these stories. What is interesting to me is the Godzilla -1 effect that film seemed to have had on Legendary, where Legendary is now once again moving towards having a more focused, emotional human story. I do not think that's a good idea for the Monsterverse. Every single time that they move towards a story like that, we end up with something like Godzilla 2014, which has had a completely boring and uninspired human story that attempted to be emotional, but really just ended up falling flat. Godzilla -1 was very unique in its application of the human story because the way that they did the movie centered around the humans while also maintaining a lot of focus on Godzilla. Godzilla's destruction and the havoc that he was wreaking was a central part of the stress that the humans were feeling in this film, and coming up with a way to stop Godzilla. I'm not sure they're going to be able to recreate anything close to that in the Monsterverse, and I feel like the Monsterverse should maintain the fun, action-oriented monster movies where we get to see various titans clash and build on Monsterverse lore. I think the Monsterverse is personally at its best when it's building on lore, when it's doing world building, when it's establishing the various history of these titans, as well as giving a menacing, world-ending apocalyptic threat similar to Godzilla King of the Monsters, where you could really feel the weightiness of Ghidorah's presence in the film, and that this was truly a world-ending titan, as opposed to Shimo and Scar King, which just fell flat for me and felt a lot more boring in comparison. But comment down below, guys. Let me know what you think about all this stuff, because this is a huge info dump for Godzilla x Kong 3, and it looks like we are actually moving closer to getting some official plot details about this movie. I'm sure by the end of the year, we are going to have some concrete plot details as well as leaks for this film. So comment down below, let me know what you think about all this stuff. And for this video, that's all I got, guys. So until the next one, be safe and stay well. Bye-bye.